Here in the state of Florida, I'm very familiar with the application. I will hold my client's hand from start to finish over the course of over 10 years. I'm, again, very familiar with the questions they ask and getting through that process efficiently. It's a very tedious process. So business owners, as Craig, they don't want to deal with it.
No, they don't want to deal with it at all. You're 100% right. No, like, oh, get that away from you. They're like, oh, no, it's scary.
Yeah, and Florida is one of the easy states. California, New York, where you have local tax, where you've got state tax, it can be very confusing and very overwhelming. So we help with not only Florida, but any other state within the United States as well.
I think New York, I was just talking to somebody about this. New York has a state of New York tax. They have a city of Manhattan tax. And if you live in Yonkers and you're privileged to live in Yonkers, there's a city tax in Yonkers. So someone living in Yonkers would pay federal tax, New York state tax, New York City tax, and you're like, wow, it's much more privileged to live out there because that's really expensive. That's a lot of taxes you're paying.
That's when you pay the professionals, right, to take care of it for you, because I wouldn't want to have to take that on as a business owner myself.
No, bring that in for sure. Absolutely. So it's been great. I'm glad we got a chance to go through some of the trends and understand more of the different topics that business owners can look to. But these, of course, aren't all the topics. There's other topics, and they can talk to you about that. But I thought I would switch over gears to you as an actual person, Jen, and talk about you. Maybe kind of walk me through where, not so much just a resume version of it, but more your background and where did you grow up and family life and everything like that. Kind of bring me back through from when you were, I don't know, birth, but walk me through about Jen.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Virginia, actually.
Oh,
yeah. I was born in Virginia. My parents split up very early on, very close with both of them, but I just, from a very early age, would go from house to house. My mom moved here to Florida, and my dad said, oh, no way, am I living without my daughter? So he followed shortly thereafter, and I continued being in a dual household situation with them for the remainder of my life. So in high school, I went from living with my mom primarily to living with my dad. And then that's when I moved here to Central Florida. So I have been here, oh my goodness, 25 years. Yeah, I've been in the Central Florida area, specifically the north part of Central Florida, for quite some time. I actually I studied and was very interested in psychology and then business. So I knew I wanted to be in business. Both my parents were in business in some way, shape, or form. And then the psychology around people, right? It's why they do the things they do, how the mind works. It was also interesting to me. So that's what I went to college for. Major in psychology, minor in business, and wanted actually to specialize in children who went through early on trauma and helping them get through early trauma that then impacted them as adults or as teens and help them work through that. After I graduated, I said, let me take a second before I get into my master's, make sure this is exactly what I want to do. And so I fell into, we always say that term, started off with a payroll organization, not the one I'm with now, another one, working internally. So that's where I learned how to service clients. I learned who the IRS was, who the Social Security Administration was, who the state of Florida was, and learned the various taxes within each organization, how to be in compliance with each, the forms when they're due, the end of the year forms, the accountants, all of it, the internal portion of it. And then I moved up through operations to help build out new accounts. So building out the account to then like service the specific client. So the needs of that client had to be built differently than the needs of another client. So I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, you're working on the front end, getting them service, not just the service end, but you started building into the relationship building, it sounds like.
Yes, the relationship building, the training. So then I would train them on how to use our software at the time. And then I realized that I wanted to be, I think the psychology aspect of the interest of psychology. I wanted to learn about people. I wanted to meet clients face to face and not just over the phone. And so that's when I made the transition from working behind the scenes internally and training clients and managing their accounts to then going out, being a part of these professional organizations, being a part of the networking and meeting business owners and figuring out, okay, what are your real needs that are outside of just payroll, and just really building long-term lasting relationships that led to where I am today.
And that's amazing. You mentioned, and I'm going back to what you mentioned, that you went to school for psychology, and then you had mentioned that you were in Virginia. Whereabouts in Virginia did you grow up?
Specifically, it was a town called Springfield.
I always think of Massachusetts for some reason. Don't I? From Springfield or Illinois? I don't know why I think that. Is that inland more, or is that by the coast?
To be honest with you, I'm not 100%. I was so young. I mean, we moved here when I was 8. So to be specific whereabouts, I guess I should know more. But my parents bounced around a lot. They followed their career paths, and I followed as a kid. I landed here in Central Florida.
What did your family do? What industry were they in?
Yeah, so my mom was like in the IT world in business. So she did everything from like the administrative assistants of the IT world to just various roles within that specific organization.
Okay.
My dad was in business, but more on the construction side. Yeah. So I lean on that too, with a huge portion of my book of business being in construction. How they work, how they operate, what's important to them. I lean on that. My dad is a purchasing manager.
It's funny, as I'm touching on what you had said, you'd mentioned about the psychology, and then you mentioned some of your background and some of the psychology of that with being in different homes. And you said you want to be there to help other people. And that's interesting how what your life experience did brought you to want to help other people and to be there. And then construction, as you mentioned, with your dad. And now you service a lot of construction people. So you took a lot of empathy from your childhood and brought that into what you do today.